watch it again, or if you want to share it with your neighbors and friends who couldn't make it tonight, it'll be in our website by the end of this week. Another note is that this presentation is planned to be in English. We do have a Spanish translator available, so if you require Spanish translation, please send us a chat message saying you require it, and we will have a Spanish translation after each slide. So go ahead, and if you need a Spanish translation, send us a chat to everyone, and we will make sure that Spanish is included. So before we get started into the presentation, we're joined tonight by District 9 City Councilman John Courage, who's been a big supporter of this project and wanted to welcome you all. Councilman Courage.
Thank you, Kimberly. Good evening. I am John Courage, your neighbor, proudly serving as your City Councilman for District 9. I'd like to thank you for joining me and the Department of Arts and Culture's virtual community engagement team to learn about this public art opportunity in the new Senior Center being built in District 9. This meeting is intended to gather community feedback on a proposed concept for the artwork. This project means a lot to me because the core of the Senior Center's mission revolves around the support of the well-being of our senior citizens. Staying healthy and feeling good and feeling your best is an important way of taking care of yourself at any age. And similarly, art has a big effect on your well-being as well, no matter your age. That is why I've attended previous community engagement meetings on this public art project. That's why SA Speak Up is out surveys. And out of that, the public has chose the theme for this artwork. So a lot of work has been done to get us to this point. We want you to continue to be part of the process. You can do that by providing any questions or comments about the proposed artwork for this new Senior Center in District 9 following this presentation. Okay, now back to the Department of Arts and Culture, and thank you, Kimberly. They'll be presenting the details.
Thank you, Councilman Courage, for joining us tonight and for all your continued support on this project. We also have with us tonight as our virtual partner, Beale House Arts, and to speak a little bit about Beale House Arts is Dr. Kellen Key McIntyre. Kellen, why don't you tell us a little bit about Beale House?
In the background, you see Beale House and the interior of Beale House. We have an exhibition up by David Zamora Casas. It's a Dia de los Muertos installation. And he invited our community, our multiple communities, our people who take our art classes from us at the senior centers, our volunteers and docents, artists we've worked with over the last 15 years. They've provided photographs and paintings and drawings of their loved ones who have died. And so in this exhibition, we're celebrating that. The exhibition is called Love and Death in the Times of Pandemic. The slide, please. Beale House Arts is about 15 years old, and we're here today because we do offer art classes to older adults in virtually all of the large, comprehensive centers around the city. You'll see Beale House Arts before at the top and Beale House Arts as we are today. It was built in 1920 from stones recovered from the Alamo. We're very excited, still very excited about that fact. Next slide. We offer 3 interrelated programs. The first is education. The Go Arts program for older adults at 17 senior centers and residences across the city. We partner with WellMed and the Department of Human Services and others to produce those classes. We also have Forward Arts for veterans with PTSD. We also have the gallery series, and this is one example behind me of an exhibition in the gallery. And then our third program is the annual On and Off Fredericksburg Road Studio Tour, which is the third weekend of February. It's actually going to be through the full month of February, and it will be virtual this year. Next, please. Our Go Arts program design, we have weekly classes taught by professional teaching artists who provide significant improvements for mental and psychosocial health. Councilman Courage was talking about the arts and health and how important both are for older adults. And through increased social engagement, self-awareness and empowerment, a sense of calm and relaxation, and increased ability to focus. All of those things come to you almost automatically. It's almost miraculous when you take art classes from us. All the classes are free. All the instruction is free. We also provide materials. Now during the pandemic, everything is in Zoom, and we also have emergency art kits that are given to every participant in the program. Next, please. Go Arts classes look like this. They looked like this, and they will soon again. But right now, everything is on Zoom. We did a study with the professors from UT Health and also from UTSA that showed improvement across the board in our participants' health, mental, and emotional. Next slide. To enroll in a Beale House Arts class, you need to be a member of a City or WellMed Comprehensive Senior Center. And so you want to check the current class schedule for at Beale House at www.bealehousearts.org. Call the appropriate center. You'll see the center's name on that schedule. Call the appropriate center to reserve your seat. If you have a problem enrolling in a class, please call me or email me. Beale House Arts phone number comes directly to me, 210-383-9723, or you may email me directly at kellenkee, KELLENKEE, @swbell.net. Join us. We look forward to seeing you and to sharing the arts with you. Thank you so much, and thank you to the Department for Arts and Culture.
Thank you, Kellen. You guys are doing some really great things, and thank you for your help tonight. If we could go to our presentation, please. So throughout tonight's presentation, you can send questions directly to us by clicking on the chat icon at the bottom of your screen. Please make sure when you send a chat that you scroll down and select everyone from the drop-down menu. That way we can make sure and see your comment or question. We'll do our best to respond to your questions before the end of this meeting. If we do not address your questions during this time, we'll follow up with you afterwards. The chat in this meeting will be part of public record and open to everyone. We ask that you use the SA Speak Up guiding principles for conversation that is meaningful, transparent, respectful, and inclusive. And we ask that you please refrain from using profanities. I do not see that anybody has requested Spanish translation, so we will continue in English. Next slide. So during this presentation, we'll look at the public art process. We'll look at a project overview, and we'll look at the concept, the proposed concept for this project. We'll look at a timeline, and finally we'll end with an input portion where we will have a discussion, and you can ask us any questions and give us your feedback on the concept design. Next slide. For those of you who are not familiar with public art is art in a public place that has been through a public engagement process to determine three things: where the art will be placed, who the artist will be, what will be the inspiration and themes for the art. It's approved by the San Antonio Arts Commission. It's managed by a public art project manager like myself, and is usually paid with public funds. These funds come from the 1% allocated from our city's bond program, and they are then used to implement public art projects according to our public art plan. Next slide. Every public art project our department manages goes through an extensive process where we check in with the community and different stakeholders, as well as our San Antonio Arts Commission and Public Art Committee. Here you can see for this project, we're about halfway through this process. We've done some initial community engagement. The artist was selected and approved, and now they've developed a concept. Next slide. For those of you who haven't heard a great deal about this project, or if you're just wanting an update, we have with us Kathleen Crabb, Senior Architect with the Public Works Department, who's going to talk about the bond project. Kathleen, welcome.
Thank you, Kimberly. and thank you everyone who's attending this virtual workshop. As I said, my name is Kathleen Crabb. I am the project manager for the building project for the District 9 Senior Center. Next. I'll give you a short overview. The Senior Center is located on West Rhapsody Drive, west of West Avenue, and at the south entrance to Walker Ranch Park. We purchased 2 pieces of property adjacent to the park parcel there on Rhapsody Drive, and all 3 of those parcels will be included in the District 9 Senior Center property. Next. This is a site plan. We are providing parking for approximately 260 vehicles, including 38 ADA parking spaces and 10 electric vehicle charging stations as part of the project. The building itself is single-story, 26,300 square feet. Next. You enter the building from the center. There's a covered walkway to the front door from the drop-off area in front of the building. To your left on this plan, you see the orange spaces. Those are the active activity spaces. They are the large exercise area, the dance studio, and the game room and active lounge. There's also a health screening area adjacent to this more active area. On the left of the plan, immediately adjacent to the front door is the Satellite Council office. And then we have 2 classrooms. We have a quiet lounge area. We have a computer cafe where you can check your emails. There's a conference room. There's a computer classroom. There is a large art room. There are several offices for services for the seniors and staff. And in the center is the dining room with an outdoor porch overlooking the Salado Creek and the beautiful mature trees behind us in the floodplain. Adjacent to the reception area, when you go into the door, there's a very large, generous reception desk. On each side of those walls is where the art will be taking place, the art project. Next. After hours, if there's to be a community meeting or some activity where you don't want the whole building open, we can close down everything except the center of the building, the dining room, the reception area, the council office, and there's 1 set of restrooms that will be used in the case of evening activities. Next. This is the front and back elevation of the building. In the back, on the lower one, you can see there's a large glass wall from the dining room, which is under the covered porch, which overlooks the beautiful mature trees in the back. Next. 2 side elevations of the building. Next. And this is a rendering of what the building will look like when it's completed. It is made out of limestone, metal roofing, and some metal panels, and large glass windows. And next. So, where are we at in the schedule? Well, design was complete in March, earlier this year. The project was advertised to the construction community on April 29th, and on December 10th, we will be taking the construction contract for approval to City Council. We assume that the construction will start right after the holidays at the beginning of January. The construction will be complete in April 2022, There will be a month of where we install all the furniture and all the equipment and all the kitchen equipment, and the contractor does his punch list. And then we will be open to the public in June of 2022. So with that, I'll return the presentation to Kimberly.
Thank you, Kathleen. Kathleen's contact information is in the chat. If you have any questions about the public works portion of this project, feel free to reach out to her with any questions. So to get back to the public art portion, last year we conducted community engagement in the form of an SA Speak Up online survey, as well as holding meetings at this District 10 Senior Center, as well as with the District 9 Senior Center Planning Committee, which was organized by Councilman Courage. So all in all, we had about 74 responses, and those responses are what drove this scope for this project. We've been directed by that community engagement to have the art be aesthetically pleasing, to include themes of nature and or symbols of Texas. The art should be lively and happy, and the art should fit in with the modern hill country architecture of the building. So with that in mind, we had an artist selection panel, and I want to give a shout out to Frida Facey, who is your District 9 San Antonio Arts Commissioner. She was on this panel, as well as 2 members from the District 9 Planning Committee, members from the Department of Human Services. Kathleen was on this committee, as well as members from Beatty Palmer Architects, who are the design team. Together, they chose Stephen Galloway, an artist from San Francisco who works with nature and who investigates natural history and what nature means to those who are experiencing it. While Stephen is an out-of-town artist, we did stipulate that the fabricator and installer had to be a local firm, so 80% of this budget will be spent locally. We wanted y'all to hear directly from Stephen, so he made a short video. If you're dialing in tonight, you won't be able to hear the audio, so please bear with us for the next 5 minutes. And here is a video from Stephen. Give us a couple minutes to get it up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephen Galloway, the artist selected to create public art for the new District 9 Senior Center. The invitation's a great honor. It's like I'm being asked to make something for your community living room. Thank you, and I really appreciate your interest and support. I'd like to take a few minutes to let you know about what really excites me about the project, some of my general approach to art, and specifically this project, and also to give you an inkling about how the design process is going so far. Now, several things really excite me about this project. The first is the process of learning about a new place, trying to distill it and to imagine how to make meaningful artwork in that place. San Antonio, the District 9 community, the new Senior Center, it's so much to get my imagination churning. Secondly, the opportunity to be part of such a positive development in your community, working with great people who are all collaborating to build a beautiful center. And third, the connection between my goals and interests as an artist and the goals and interests of the project. Now, for some reason or other, I've always made art about nature. While at any given time I'm exploring some specific rabbit hole in my work, the general focus on nature always carries a sense of well-being and life for me. It always stokes the imagination and brings inspiration. Now, half the community members who gave input on the project development stressed that they wanted to see images of nature in the artwork. It's no surprise to me. Art about nature is uplifting, it's restorative, and it's known to even reduce stress. You're really lucky. You'll have a center that supports community and individual well-being, and it's beautifully sited adjacent to the Walker Ranch Park and Salado Creek. The artwork for the center is a perfect way to create a link between the center and its environment. So, that connection to nature is baked into the Senior Center. My challenge is, how can I develop a new kind of connection, bring the sense of the natural site inside, infuse it through the experience within the building, but also touch people in a way that inspires them to make new connections to what is around them. Now, while I'm making visual art, I'm not just thinking of nature as something to look at. It's something we are. And I like to make art that sort of elevates that sense a little more, even if it's an unconscious sensation. For District 9, I want to integrate art into the senior center experience, in a way that there is less of a separation between what we imagine when we are inside the building and when we're outside. As that distance changes, it becomes easier for people to feel connected to that landscape. So, about the work so far. It started with a lot of prep, reading and researching about San Antonio, Hill Country, and the Edwards Plateau. And then came a crucial week-long trip to San Antonio in late June. My time spent there meeting folks, learning about the history and environment of San Antonio, as well as getting a real in-person introduction to the project and your system of senior centers. Mostly my time was spent walking all over the city and through as many parks as I could. I walked the river, I explored Confluence Park, spent time in the Missions, bushwhacked, walked up and down roads, rode public transportation. Trips both north to Kendall County and south to Wilson County showed me some of the great natural and cultural diversity around San Antonio. The places that I really got to know, though, and kept returning to were Walker Ranch and Hardburger Park. So all of those things, from the parks and the trees and the waterways to the Missions, to the downtown architecture, they all sort of sift their way into my thinking and they inform my design work. So does the plan for the building itself, the design goals of the architect, the kinds of colors and surfaces, and especially the space itself. Now, the siting for the artwork is a large open space in the middle of the center. Everything spreads out from that space and then revolves back to it. Illuminated by the lantern cupola in the ceiling, it's a key space in the building. I want to know, can I energize it and still keep it open? Can I make artwork that serves to welcome people and draw them in from the front doors and kind of energize them a little bit, while at the same time creating something to contemplate and wonder about while you're seated, resting in that sitting area? Can I create something that really feels like it's supposed to be there in that space, in that building, adjacent to that great park, and in San Antonio?
Thanks to Stephen for that video, and I'm sorry I interrupted it for everybody. But as you can tell, he's very passionate about this project and has been really enjoying his time with us. Now, before we share the new details about the public art project, I did want to plant some questions in your mind as we go through the location and the concept. At the end of this presentation, we'll have a discussion portion where we really want to hear from you using that chat button. Please feel free to comment anytime. You don't have to wait until the end, but we will address any questions or comments at the end. The questions that we want you to think about as I continue talking are: what parts of the concept stood out most to you? What excites you about the project? How do you see yourself interacting with the artwork once it's built? And are there any changes you would want to make to this concept? Next slide. To give you a further idea of where within the building this artwork will be, you can look at the map on the slide and see two central walls at the heart of the senior center. These parallel 30-foot long walls flank the reception desk and will be under a large glass cupola, which will heighten the space and bring lots of natural light in. As Kathleen mentioned earlier, and as Stephen mentioned, the center's dining room looks right into the historic Walker Park, and there will also be a trailhead in the parking lot. So this is a really unique feature that Stephen wanted to capitalize on. Next slide. The core of the Senior Center's mission revolves around physical, mental, and social well-being. There is a wealth of documentation in medicine, psychology, and sociology talking about the beneficial relationship between nature and health. Some doctors are even prescribing nature instead of medicine now. The pair of artworks will be matched, sharing the same overall dimensions, material, style, and installation. The artworks, approximately 24 feet wide and 10 feet tall, will each depict a compelling view looking up into the canopies of trees symbolic to this area of San Antonio, the Texas pecan and the live oak. The compositions may appear photographic from a distance, but on closer inspection reveal themselves to be stylized images, with outline blocks of color depicting more detail. The effect project is part of a lineage going back to traditional stained glass methods, as well as following in the footsteps of impressionists like Claude Monet. This graphic approach updates these methods to create a contemporary form appealing to many viewers, people who may love Frank Lloyd Wright's glass designs, and people who like Japanese anime. Next slide. Each of the two artworks will be a single image, but divided into a grid of smaller panels. For each artwork, there will be 3 equal horizontal rows of panels. The rows, however, will be divided into panels of various widths, creating different rhythms interacting with each other. These patterns of stacked rows made of irregular blocks are directly inspired by the limestone brick patterns found in any hill country design and throughout San Antonio's architecture. As currently imagined, the artworks are to be fabricated using laminated tempered glass. The image will be held within the glass lamination, and the front will be exposed and clear, and the rear of the glass panels will be treated likely by a solid white back painting or perhaps a reflective surface. The overall goal will be to create a bright and colorful appearance enhanced by the sophistication of glass and the dynamic plays of light and image between the layers. Next slide. The work is integrated in the center, designed for the proportions of the room and the wall, reflecting the materials and using the natural light from the cupola above. It uses strong color and composition to engage viewers from the myriad viewpoints available in the space. It also grounds the viewer, reminding them of where they are. There are important themes regarding San Antonio's natural and built environment which resonate throughout the artwork. The artwork also engages the viewer to sense its color, temperature, scale, and especially angle. These views aren't what we first think of as we picture trees in our minds. They're an engaged view, an experience of being up in the canopy, looking up to place the tree in relation to the sky. Most importantly, the artworks carry an invitation. Viewers should see the artwork in relation to the trees they see looking out the dining room window. The artwork extends an invitation to go beyond that window, out into the bridge, out into Walker Ranch Park. The artwork invites folks to look up and see and feel and wonder at the nature at their doorstep. Next slide. To give you an idea of the next steps, the artist will take all the feedback we receive here tonight and in the subsequent weeks into account as he works on the final design. The final design will be presented to the Public Art Committee and the San Antonio Arts Commission for approval in February of 2021. Then the artwork will be fabricated and installed in accordance with the building's construction schedule. Next slide. So I showed you these questions previously, and now it's time to have a discussion and hear your thoughts on this concept. So to remind you of the questions, they are, what parts of the concept stood out most to you? What excites you about this project? How do you see yourself interacting with the artwork once it's built? And are there any changes you would make to this concept? So please remember to use that chat button on the bottom right hand of your screen and to choose everyone from the drop-down menu. Right now, we're going to take a 2-minute pause to let people gather their thoughts and enter in some questions. So we'll be back in just a couple minutes here. Hang with us. So we have a question here from Diane Montesclaro. Who's actually she is a co-chair, I believe, of the District 9 Senior Center Planning Committee. So thank you, Diane, for your committee's help. They've been a really great blessing to this project. She says, I like the trees, colors, etc. However, I felt that animal life forms were missing, such as squirrels or the Texas bird, the mockingbird. When I'm in nature, I am always looking for wildlife. So that's a great comment, and it's something that we will definitely take into consideration moving forward. You're right. There's hardly ever a tree without without an animal life in it. Okay, we have another question that says, will the art be touchable? Yes. So the art is meant to be easily maintained. So the Department of Human Services, staff can easily clean it. It's going to be meant to last. And we're going to make extra precautions to make sure that it's very sturdy so it doesn't break. So those are all things that we think about as we continue and go forward. So we had a comment for the answer to question number 1. What parts of the concept stood out most to you? Openness and nature. I think that's exactly what the artist was trying to show in his concept. So I'm glad that you got that. A comment from Paul, who I believe is also, if it's right, Paul, is also on that planning committee. Galloway captures the local wooded environment completely. Agree with Diane about adding squirrels and birds. So that's something we can definitely look at going forward. So we have another comment in answer to question number 2, what excites you about the project? The facility being available to seniors and the connection to parks. Yes, I think everybody is happy to have a senior center in District 9 where there is not currently one. So we're all very excited about this opportunity. We have a comment from Colleen. As an amateur glass artist, the stained glass type of detail appeals to me, appearing to be photographed until looking closer. The reference to limestone block, which is a recurring theme in our parks, is unifying. Agree with the comment on adding wildlife. Thank you for that. We have a question, is there a trailhead near the facility? Yes. So if you'll recall in Kathleen's slide, on kind of the other side of the parking lot, there will be a trailhead. And there is actually currently a trailhead at that space. So you can go check out the pre-construction site, which will be quiet maybe for a little longer here. We have a question that asks, will there be light behind the panels? So this is not meant to be backlit at the moment. There will be lighting in the hallways, and then of course, you're going to get that great natural light coming down from the cupola as well. Comment, there has been some interest in ensuring that the painting has the appropriate lighting, perhaps backlighting as well as natural lighting. So that's something that as we move forward, it seems like everybody is accepting of this concept. We'll go into the details of installation and lighting through final design. So there's another question, will there be seating in the reception area for people to view the artwork? So there will be some seating. If you'll recall, these artworks are 24 feet long. So you'll have to stand back a little to look at them. But there will be seating behind the reception desk where you can look at them. And of course, they are actually going to be visible from a small waiting room in the front as well. So there's a follow-up on touching the art. Might you consider textured surfaces that enhance the parts of the whole? I think that's a great idea. That's something that we will look into seeing if maybe we could add some texture. I think that's a great idea. Okay. Another comment, a reflective surface behind the glass as suggested might help with the lighting. Yes, so we'll be during fabrication doing some studies to see exactly how we can get the most light bouncing off in that glass and making these trees appear like there's sunlight behind them. I'm loving these questions, so keep them coming. There was a mention of an art room built into the center. Can you elaborate on the function of that room, what might be included in it, and how residents interact with it? So this center, as Kathleen mentioned, will have an art room, and that is for art classes to be done by the seniors. So that's where Beale House, where their Go Arts program, has a lot of art. So these senior centers are creating their own art, and they display them in the building. So this public art is separate from that, but once the center is opened, you'll be able to see this great public art, but you'll also, if you're a senior, be able to make art that gets displayed there, and then see, if you're a visitor, see the art that the other seniors make. Comment, I know that place well, and this design really complements the view into the trees growing up from the creek bed. Thank you. You can't help but be inspired by the location of this building. And thank you guys for putting in your comments. It really is helpful for us, and we want you to be to love the art that will be in your senior center and that you'll get to see every day and use every day. So we have another question. Are any outdoor facilities included, tables, etc.? That, I believe the answer to that is yes. There is a patio area with tables and chairs, I would presume. I don't know, Kathleen, if you're still on here, but that is something.
Oh, I am. And there will be tables and chairs on the back patio. And there may be benches throughout in front of the building as well. So we're still finalizing a little bit of that. But yes, there will be outdoor furniture as well as indoor furniture as part of this project. And to answer one of the earlier questions, we have plans for lighting of the artwork already in our designs for this project. So there will be lighting of the artwork, and if it needs to be backlit, we've also provided power for that. So.
Thanks, Kathleen. Yes, we have options here. So we're still early. We wanted to get this concept, kind of get a general approval from the community, from you guys, and then go from there. Okay, another comment. There was interest in the concept that made residents feel happy. I think this concept does just that. Bringing nature indoors is very happy indeed. Thank you for that. I agree. Question, were there plans for additional artwork inside and outside? So there, as I mentioned, the Senior Center will have its own arts program. What that exactly entails, I am not sure about, but there is, those seniors do a small little gallery of changing exhibitions, art exhibitions. As far as public artworks, this is the plan for the public art, the 2 parallel walls on the reception area. So that's the plan for now. And then in the future, we'll see.
Kimberly, could I make a comment?
Of course.
Yeah, I think we would want to encourage any kind of art donations to be made to the center, either interior or exterior. I think that we'd have a committee that would review those to ensure how they fit well. But I would certainly encourage that. I've got a couple of art pieces that I think I'd like to go ahead and donate that I think would fit in well. And I'm sure others may as they get used to the facility.
Thank you, Councilman Courage. Yes, I'm always happy to see art in more places. So if you have, as Councilman Courage said, if you feel like you want to donate art, please, go through Councilman Courage's office and to make those arrangements. So I think at that point, unless anybody has a last question, I'll give you guys a minute more. I feel like this has been a really good discussion. We've got some feedback about incorporating some animals into these tree limbs, and then to make sure that we get as much light in there. Question, how likely would you be to accept original art donated from local artists, assuming it is appropriate for the setting? So that's something that I'll have to get back to that person on. We do not have any plans to donate or to accept any other arts right now, but that is something that we can look at. And again, Councilman Courage, I would suggest working with his office to do that. I can only speak on behalf of Public Art, and this is what our budget and our scope is. Okay, so with that, if you have any other questions, next slide, please, Stephanie. Thanks to everybody for that discussion. It was really great, and we've got some good feedback to move forward with. So as I mentioned, we have recorded this session, and that recording I will email out to everybody who is registered. We will also post it on our website by the end of this week. So feel free to watch it again, share it, and if you have any final comments or suggestions, please email me. My phone number is 210-207-5951, and my email address is on the screen and in the chat. All the final comments are due to me by November 25th. Next slide. At this point, I want to thank all of you for attending and trusting us with your feedback and your comments. I want to thank Councilman Courage, Kathleen Pratt, and Kellen McIntyre. And if there's any veterans joining us tonight, on behalf of all of us here, thank you for your service. And thanks again for attending, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Good night.